Bukola joins me now as we begin to talk about some of the things that you've been saying across social media. One of which is the fact that we like to amplify your voice as much as possible when it comes to conversations around the social media. Whatever it is you're saying, our responsibility is to bring it to the fore and amplify it. Bukola joins me. Bukola.
Yes, indeed, Jeffrey. Nigerians are saying quite a lot today, especially over the weekend, one of which is, the cholera outbreak and also about security, and which is what, gets my attention this morning. If amid, this fist of sacrifice and obedience, people still find it a time, to unsettle the peace, and attack communities. It's really very, very worrying. And, we hope that the clerics will speak to this and discourage people from such behavior, such attitudes, and encourage them to be examples rather than, trouble for the peace of the communities.
All right, so let's get to the very first one, the cholera outbreak we spoke about. Lagos has recorded about 15 fatalities, we should say, and that has further increased the national fatality to something higher than 30 that was initially reported just a few days ago. So, Tafaji movement says, let's advise people on Water Safety Day in all our community, encouraging them to make their water safe for drinking.
It's interesting that that is still an issue in the year 2024. Education about the dangers of dirty water and unhygienic behavior. But our body is saying this is scary. We must address environmental factors that contribute to the spread of cholera, such as contaminated water sources and poor waste management practices.
Exactly. Ibira Connect says, what is heartbreaking is that many Nigerians, especially the people living in Lagos, think the cholera epidemic is a joke. It's real. Let's create more awareness.
And Truth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 says, interesting name. Lagos and especially all the other states are too dirty. Well, not just Lagos, there are some other states as well that need attention as far as the environment is concerned. Well, he continues by saying the people have zero maintenance culture, very, very dirty people, throwing everything they eat on the ground. The gutters are, and they continue with this very uncomfortable tweet message to read. Jeffrey, you have the next one.
Yeah, exactly. So not everybody in Lagos is dirty, by the way. A majority of us are clean. But we've proposed on the show that for those people who do open defecation, especially along the median on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, I think it's pretty simple. Let not put them in vehicles. That's a waste of time, a waste of national resource or state resource. Just get them water or get them shovel or whatever. Let them clean that whole stretch. When you do that twice in a month, when you feel pressed, your sense will recalibrate to know where to go and do the do. If you know what we mean. It's early morning, so I don't want to mess up somebody's breakfast. But let's go on now to other stories we've been tracking that you've been speaking about. The gunmen attacking a village on Salah Day, which is a very sad development in Sokoto. They've even abducted some people. Valencia Cute says this issue of insurgency will only when the people in that region acknowledge that bandits as terrorists are not freedom fighters. I don't think they've ever acknowledged them as freedom fighters, by the way.
I doubt that is the sentiment in Nigeria's north. Everyone is just as concerned.
Nobody would like to be killed.
In the north, absolutely. Well, this next one is from Owoko Nero, and it's just one line that he has for us. He says, may God restore peace in Nigeria. Amen to that.
Amen. It's a simple prayer. Angel Okafor says, kidnapping is a normal thing in Nigeria. People have been kidnapped on a daily basis. We can't normalize abnormalities. Anomalies now. We cannot normalize it. So yes, it happens literally every other day. But this is not our new normal. We must fight to make sure that these headlines change as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Even though we live in that reality that insecurity is embarrassing the Nigerian state.
And by doing that, we must keep the conversation on, regardless of how many times that we have to read the stories and put pressure on the security forces as well to continue to go after them. And there's been quite some success in that regard. This next one is from Tony Aja, who says, this cannot be happening. Isn't Salah meant to be a season of joy and celebration for all Muslims? My sentiments, exactly. Jeffrey.
So, this doesn't represent the Muslim faith. Not at all.
Not at all.
By any chance or any figment of imagination. These are terrorists. Simon Akor says, Northerners must wake up to protect themselves from themselves. This is getting out of hands. Okay, those are your views on this particular one. More like saying, let's take responsibility for our own safety, whether we're in the north or in the south, because insecurity is all over the place. Or in the west. Yep.
Do we have time for more comments?
We do.
Okay, so this next one is on Nigeria's inflation rising to 33.95% in May, and that is very concerning. The first reaction is from Dividends Growth Hustler, who says, inflation is a silent killer. It erodes your purchasing power. It makes you poorer without you even realizing it. Protect yourself, invest in assets that appreciate, not depreciate. We can't say that enough right now, because if you have 1 million naira, the value of 1 million naira in May 2023 is maybe half that amount right now, and it is very worrying.
Very worrying indeed.
We must be very deliberate about our investments and about our savings.
So, Business Insight HQ says, ongoing global supply chain disruptions have affected the availability and cost of goods, particularly food and fuel, which are major components of Nigeria's inflation basket.
And Data Wallet, I believe, says they should continue their efforts to ban Bitcoin there. The economy is definitely strong enough, and they don't need it size, I believe.
Yeah, so Bukola, you're better at interpreting or translating pidgin. So, but let me read this. You help me translate. Osmanic says, this era choco. In 1 decade alone, Ebola, COVID, lockdown, AI, recession, NSAS, climate change, crypto, social media, inflation, cholera, and $1 to 1,800 naira life experience choke. More like saying there's a lot for a decade. A lot. Things that are supposed to happen in 100 years is happening in about 10 years. That speaks to our resilience as human beings, as Nigerians.
Absolutely. We're still standing in spite of all of this.
It's a difficult
in one
situation.
Basket.
It's a difficult situation. And so big up to everyone who still believes and is still hopeful.
Yes. And this next one is from O. MacDonald Urimife, who says, except there's a different method of calculating this. This is very wrong. Prices are up to 200% to 400%. And no, there's no war. How is it 33.95% on paper? How is this calculated? Because this does not even translate to real life at all. It's too small compared to what's happening.
Yeah, so yes, in reality,
sarcasm?
Not sarcasm. I think it's an honest question, which there is a simple answer. So the CPI, Consumer Price Index, which looks at all of this basket of prices of goods and services. It's a basket that has a lot of components. So some may be as high as 500%, 600%, some may be as 20%, 30%, 40%. So when they do the average, so some drag the other down, it's just mathematics. Although some people still believe that 33 is still not quite reflective, but this is what the national data
of what we're actually experiencing.
Because I know things I used to buy for 3,000, they're about 6,000. There are things we used to buy for 2,000, they're about 12,000. So if you look at that, 600%, 800%, but when you put in the small basket, perhaps it drags it down. But people are still debating that this is not representative enough.
And it's a valid sentiment, Jeffrey, if you consider the reports about the price of ram during this festive season going as high as 1 million naira. It's the ram, not the cow. I say it again, it's the ram, not the
It's not a car, it's not even a car.
Not a car.
All right, so let's move on now to the sports story where Finidi Georgia stepped down as Super Eagles coach. There was a lot of hullabaloo. So Finidi led the Super Eagles against South Africa. There was a draw. And of course, there was a loss to Benin. And
Republic.
Then the NFF said, let's get a technical advisor to buffer a bit. Finidi stepped down, and Victor Osimhen was angry because of statement they say is credited to Finidi and all of that. We're going to talk about that later on the show, but let's read what you've been saying. Ubong Abia says, on what criteria was he appointed to start with? Appointment into such a sensitive position of national importance should follow a rigorous process to avoid this embarrassment.
And this next one is from Shafi Hamidu, who says, wise decision for him to resign. However, that would not still bring back the 5 points dropped into the World Cup qualifying table. Nonetheless, he needs to leave and give a chance to the new coach. That's football for you. it's a game of results. If you can't produce results, then you'll be gone by morning. Jeffrey reminds us of that quote you
I think
encouraged us with or discouraged us with last week. There are two types of coaches.
Yeah, they say they are the one that has the one that's about to be fired,
and the one that's been fired.
So, well, those are the stories we've been tracking for you. It's not something to smile about, but we'll just look for a way to smile around it. Well, we wish him the very best. We're going to talk about this extensively later on the show. But hey, keep it coming on your WhatsApp and on X as much as possible. We'll take them. But let's get to our very first conversation for the day. It's El Kabir, and it's a feast of sacrifice. Let's bring some insight with the people in the know. Join us again.